Hello, everybody. Welcome to my new live stream. So, where I learned C++. So, I think this is the first time I'm showing my face on the camera. So, I don't know. Please bear with me if uh, I make any silly stuff. I don't know. I'm not very experienced at this, but I hope I'll learn soon. All right. So, let's continue. Um, So we were learning about the while loop. So let's check out. So in the do we were actually going through the do while loop after the while loop. So here we have another program using the do while loop, which is user input validation. So let's try this one. Let's try this out. Let me comment this before that. All right. Let's try this program. So, um, by the way, if you have any questions or anything to say, let me know in the chat. I'll be reading them out. So, and also I'll try to answer the questions. So let me check out how this program is done. Let us consider an example where a user is prompted to enter a positive number. The program will continue to prompt the user until they enter a valid number. So it is it's kind of like a loop still. So it keeps looping until the user enters a positive number. So let's try it. So inside the do, the part is where the user is going to enter a number and we have to print out the number. All right. So let's write the do part. So see out, we're going to ask the user for a number, enter a positive number, and cin, that's where you actually get the number. Let's me initialize the variable and cin you just get n, and after that in the while part, what is the condition? N should be greater than 0, right? That's what is positive. N should be greater than 0. Given less than or equal to 0. Alright, let's try what happens if we put greater than 0. N greater than 0. Let's try this. C out, and then we have to print n now. C out, entered number, enter number, and then we get n, then end. All right. So Let's see. Let's see what happens. All right, let me just move to. All right, so let me just run this, save and run. I hope I've done it. All right, still compiling. Let me just run this. Let me just run it quickly. It's asking for a positive number. I'm going to say 7. Or let's enter a negative number first and see what happens. -1. Okay. So it is saying entered number is -1. So because it's a negative number, it just stopped, which is not what we want. So that's why I think n should be less than or equal to 0. Because as long as the number is negative, right, this loop should keep on going, right? This loop part should keep running. That is the condition we are checking. So as soon as it detects a negative number, it goes back into the loop, right? And then the number becomes, once the number becomes positive, it goes out of the loop and prints this entered number is whatever the number is, the positive number. Let's just try it now after the corrected program. Let me just try this. So positive number it's asking for, let's enter a negative number again. -2, it's asking again. So it really needs a positive. Let's enter a negative number again. As in -7. So that's what happens. So now I'll enter a positive number 7 and +7 it is. So yeah, it just breaks out of the loop and just prints the number. So yeah, that was a, I think there is many use cases for this. This is probably the, yeah, this is one of the primary applications of do while in loop in C++. Makes sense. All right. The next one is quite interesting. Print a square pattern using nested loops. This is quite interesting. So you got to print something like this. Let's try this one. Before that, let me just check the audio, guys. I'm not sure. I hope you can hear me. I hope the audio is clear. Let me just check it out. All right. I hope it's good. I'm not sure. All right. I think it's good. All right. All right. All right. I think then we can continue. Let's continue with this one. Let's continue with the printing of square pattern using nested loops. All right. So first, I think just like other loops, we can also nest one do loop into another do while loop. All right. So a do loop inside another, so a do while inside another do while. So yeah, that's quite interesting. Let's try that as well. Let's try that. And the same thing I'm sure can be done in like for using a for loop as well. Let's try this. Let's try this one. So I is initialized to 0. Don't need n here. Let's remove that. And we have inside the do. Let's write the outer loop first, and then we can write the inner loop. The outer loop is int j equal to 0. So there are two variables here. So I and j, and then I'm just going to close that because we are only writing the outer loop while j less than 4. We have printed 4. Okay, 4 stars. So all right. So j is basically the I is for the row, and j is the inner loop in each row. All right. So j might be like horizontal. All right, let's try. And we are going to write the inner loop here. So there is another do, and inside this we have, inside that we see out the star that we need, or the asterisk, and close it. We have to increment j here. Why? Because it's the inner loop. We have j in the inner loop, and on the outer loop we have I, right? So j increment first, and then when we go out of that, so let me remove that unnecessary bracket. So when we go out here, while j less than 4, all right, after this j plus plus there is another while, right? Because it's the inner loop, we didn't write a while. So while again you have j here, it is actually the outer loop, it is I less than 4. So for the inner it is j, so j less than 4, and after that you close it, again see out, and then don't have to print anything for that, just increment I, so I plus plus. All right, and then I think we are good now. Let's try this out. Control S, save. All right, I didn't save it, I think. Okay, I didn't save it. Let me just control C here. All right, guys, the amount of times this thing ran, oh my god. All right, anyway, let's do it now. It didn't print anything. I did something wrong here. There is something wrong that I did. Not sure what. All right. I didn't actually. Okay. Now we have got the output. That looks good. Yeah. Now suppose let's try. What if we wanted the rows to be like 5 and the columns stay as 4? Or let's say we want 5 column of stars and the rows stay the same. So what you have to do is just, I think most of you guys can guess it. If anyone is watching, I think you would know it's quite simple. What if we need an extra column of stars here and the rows stay the same? The rows cannot change. The rows stay the same, but we need an extra column of stars. So five column of stars and four rows. So for that, I think the obvious answer is you have to change the inner loop to five. Let's try this. Fingers crossed, it's correct. Let's try it. Yeah, it's correct. So I think the logic is clear. So you have, so if we need an extra column, we just have to increase the inner loop. And suppose if we need an extra row, for example, now say I want to add an extra row, I think definitely you have to increase the outer loop condition here from 4 to 5. Let's try this out. It's quite obvious. And yeah, so we now have five rows and five columns. So I think that was quite good. All right. So this way they can think of many combinations. You can also print like a slanting diagonal, like a right angle triangle. Let's try that. I think that is also possible. So let's see what happens if I say, let's see, 1j less than 1. Let's see what happens now. This is quite interesting. We're just trying out. Let's try it out. Okay, it didn't print a right angle triangle. All right. It's just going to print all right. That makes sense. That just makes sense. Hmm. So what if we need a right angle triangle? That's a good question. What if we need to print a right angle triangle here? Right angle triangle of stars or asterisks. I think the inner loop has to, the first case stays the same. In the second row, you need two stars, right? And in the third row, three stars and so on. So, how do we do that? How do we approach that? Mm, mm, mm. Someone's watching. If you have any ideas, you can let me know. I'm reading the comments as well. Uh, I think we have to, let's try something here. All right. So we start from 1 year. Um, we go up till 5, I less than 5. All right. So 5 rows. So 25 rows. All right. What do we don't give an handle here? Let's try that. Should we do an handle here? That I think we do need to print something. So what if we put this outside this loop? Let's try what happens. Let's try and see. I don't think that's gonna. You increment I here after this. What if that happens? What if we increment I before this? Let's try that. Stays the same, nothing changes. So let's put it back. Can we even do it using a while loop? I think we might need a for loop for this, for that. Let's, I think we can still do it using a while loop. Not sure. Should be possible using a while loop. Should be possible. Uh, all right. We'll just think about that. Let's not waste time. We'll think about that. We'll just think about that for later. Save that for later. Do while using do. All right. Let me just say right angle, triangle using do while. Let me just note that down. We'll try that later. Let's not waste time. Infinite do while loop. I think we don't have to do this. It's quite obvious. You just go into a loop and then you just see out. You just do this. So this, while it is true, it just always is going to be true. So it just keeps looping and never ends. It's quite obvious. Let's move on. I think we can just go to the next. Hmm. What do we have next here? Infinite loops. We tried the for each loop. We're doing the do while here, and then next we have for each loop. All right. We did try the for each loop, but it was more of a simple one. There is an array here, and we have use of reference as value, use of reference versus value. All right. Works as a copy. Modifications won't affect the original. By reference is you can modify elements directly. Okay. Hmm. Auto, I think the auto, it is a keyword here in C++, which we haven't learned. Auto works on a copy. Modifications won't affect the original. Okay. Hmm. All right. All right. Interesting. So this is by value and this is by reference. So by value, you don't have the ampersands, and for by reference, you have an ampersands. All right. There was a for each infinite loops. Yeah, this is going to run forever. There is expressions blank. There's no condition. All right. Nesting of loops. I don't think we tried the nested for loop. Let's go ahead. We did try the nested for loop. Yes, let me check. Let me check if we did do the nested for loop. Yeah, so we did do the nested for loop here. Here it's more of an interesting one. Just print the identity matrix. Nested loop. Let's read this out first. Loop statement inside another loop statement. Loop inside loop. Inner loop performs all of its iterations for each iteration of the outer loop. Hmm. So yeah, once it goes to the inner loop, the whole iterations inside the inner loop completes, and then again it goes to the outer loop. So that's what happens in a nested loop. All right, that was an example. All right, let's try this one. Printed identity matrix using nested for loop. Let's try this. All right. So we are just initializing the n. It's I think the order. Hmm. And yeah, I less than or equal to n. Yeah. So I think if we need um yeah, let's try it. Let's try it. Let's try it. It's gonna be it's gonna be good. Let's try this one. Identity matrix using nested for. Let's try this one. If you're new, please subscribe to the channel, like the video if you're enjoying it. We'll be posting more such live streams. So let's continue here. Um, yep. So let me remove this. Let me just remove this. So here I'm going to change I. Let's not have I. Let's just have it as n. And I'm just going to say for and I equal to let's start from 1 and I less than or equal to n, and then we do I plus plus here, and then we go into the next inner loop, and in j we need a new variable. We also starts from 1, and then I less than or equal to n again, j plus plus, and then we go inside I. We check this condition when I equal to j, C out, C out 1, C out 1, else C out 0. Let me just yeah, move this. Hmm. Why is this important? Um, because what does it mean when I equal to j? See, I and j are basically just rows and columns, right? So what will be the, for example, I have to just show you. So let me just show it here. So if you have a matrix and then inside you just have a matrix, let's consider, and inside you just have, let us say, one. Why is it that? Why does it look like that? Okay, let me just increase the size a bit. Okay, that's better. So for example, if you do have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you have a, first you have 3 rows, you have 2 rows here, sorry, and then you have 3 columns, right? So how would you call this matrix here? What kind of a matrix is this? You have 2 rows and 3 columns, right? So this would be a 2 by 3 matrix, right? 2 into 3. So this is how this matrix would be. Same for here in our problem. If you check what kind of a matrix do we need? As you can see here, we need a 4 row, 4 column matrix, right? So 4 by 4, that would be 4 by 4 matrix. So if it is a 4 by 4 matrix, then what would that mean? 4 by 4 matrix, right? So that means, let me just show you here, 4 by 4 matrix. So you would have like 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, and then 0, 0, 0, 1. And this is the matrix you have, 4 by 4 matrix. I'm sorry about this. So this is the 4 by 4 matrix you have here. So if you look at this now, what would be, say, for example, if you consider this one here, for example, if you consider this one here, what would be the position of this one? What would be the position of this one here? We just write it over here. The position of this one is what? It is in the second row. and it is in the second column, right? So the position would be 2 into 2, right? So the position is going to be 2 into 2, 2 into 2, 2 rows and 2 columns. Similarly, let us consider the position of this one here. The position is 4, 4 into 4, right? 4 by 4. So this would be 2 by 2. And this similarly, if you consider the whole thing here, this land, let me just you just consider the whole diagonal here, this whole diagonal, this this diagonal of ones. All right, that became too bad. I hope you got the point. The diagonals, which is the identity matrix, right? Which is what we want. This diagonal, right? So if you consider that, what would be? You will get 1 into 1, 1 into 1. I'm taking time and explaining this because it is quite important. That's why. So 3 into 3, 3 into 3. So as you can see here, all these like 1 into 1, 2 into 2, 3 into 3, and 3, 4 into 4. So you have both values for all. If you see what is like, if you see what is a common thing, you can see here, like both values are same, right? Both values are always equal. So that is what is an identity matrix. So that is why we are doing here. When you check the program, we are doing I equal to j. So if I equal to j, which is what is this row or all these rows, where everywhere I will be equal to j, because basically when you see here, all these are nothing but I into j, right? Whatever we wrote is just I into j, all these. So when I equal to j, which is basically what is seen the pattern here. So when I equal to j, then what do? We just see out. We just see out 1 because it is an identity matrix. Otherwise, for all other positions, we just go with 0, right? See out 0. And then we just handle and finish the program, right? So let's just try this. What happens? What happens here? That is just a rough explanation of how this works. I think I did right. I just tried my best to explain it. If you have any doubts or questions, you can ask me in the live chat, or if you're watching after the stream, you can ask me in the comments. I'll try my best to answer them. So let me just compile this now and see what we have. Oh, okay, okay. Why did it just keep going? Okay. I think I just missed something here. Okay, all right. What is the mistake I did, guys? Can you spot it? Can you spot the mistake here? I don't know how many of you are watching right now, but if you can spot the mistake here, please let me know in the comments. Please let me know what is the mistake I did here. Hmm. I think I've terminated all the brackets, but there is something wrong. What is the mistake here? Something went wrong here. Let me just leave a space. I don't know if that's the mistake, but let's try. I don't think that's the mistake. Let's try. Yeah, that's not the mistake. Let's see what happened. What went wrong here? I equal to J C out. I L C out 0. Okay. And then surely there is something wrong. All right. Ah, it's so silly. I don't know. Some of you might have found it out. It just took some time for me, but it's, yeah, happens. I think it happens. So I had just said I here instead of J. It's super silly, but yeah. All right. Let's try now. Now let's just run this. Yeah. So now we got the output. So we have an identity matrix, which is pretty, yeah, 4 by 4 identity matrix. Yeah, that's one application of the nested for loop. So this is what I explained here. Basically, they've just given it as an explanation, and is a figure given here. So this is the outer loop, and then goes into the inner loop. Inner loop runs, you know, until it becomes false. Then again goes to the outer loop, right? Checks again. If again outer loop becomes true, goes inside the inner loop again. Outer loop is false, goes outside, right? And then the program terminates. When the outer loop becomes false, the program terminates. So that's what happens. Yeah, so there is a nested while loop as well. So which is what we saw earlier. To print the stars, nested do while. Yeah, this is exactly what we wanted to do earlier. A nested do while loop, um, and print this right angle triangle. All right. So what do we have here? Star triangle using nested do while. All right. So we initialize to. I thought of that before. Yeah. So we have to go with two variables. We have to go with the two variables, and then this is the order here. So basically, you can think of it like number of rows. Um, yeah. So I is set to 1, so it keeps incrementing. Yeah, we increment I, and j is set to 1 here inside the nested loop. So inside the outer loop of the nested do while. I'm sorry. So that's where the j is initialized. Why is that? Why is that? The outer do while controls the row number, as I did say. The outer do while loop, yeah, sets n equal to 4 sets how many rows will be printed. The outer do while loop controls the row number. All right. So it just controls, like, if this is a second row, all right, that makes sense. So if I equal to 1 and j equal to 2, right, then that would mean it is this star over here, right? So that makes sense. All right, so that's why we initialize I before, because we always have to have a row number, right? Inner do while j print stars equal to the current row number. All right. So inner do and then we increment j, and then while we are asking the condition, while j is less than or equal to less than or equal to I. Why j less than or equal to I? Why are we checking that? Um, hmm. So I think it is like, for example, if we consider, say, the first row, second element, there is nothing here, right? If you closely watch here, there is nothing here. Nothing is to be printed here. So we don't want to go there, right? So what is true is always once this goes inside, when j is equal to 1, right? Suppose say j equal to 1 and I is also equal to 1, right? Then this is printed. But if j becomes 2, right? If j, here we are incrementing j. If j becomes 2, right? Then j becomes greater, right? J becomes greater than I, right? So that this condition becomes false, right? If j is less than or equal to I, then it's okay. But if j becomes greater here, then this condition becomes false. So we don't want to go there. So automatically we go out of the loop and then just increment I. We just increment the rows. And then the same thing kind of repeats. That is for the inner loop, right? We just go increment I, and then again for the outer we are checking while I less than or equal to n, which is the rows, because this is the limit, right? You only have to go up till 4. That's the max limit we have set. 4 rows. If it goes more than that, we just have to end the program. So we are just taking that here. If it is still lesser, it just goes back in and until it becomes false. Yeah. I hope you understood that. I don't know. Like, all right, that's sometimes I just explain things and, I don't know if people understand, but I hope you guys do understand though. Let's just continue writing the program. Let us just write this and check if we get the expected output here. I don't know for how much time we have been live right now, but like the video, guys, if you're enjoying this, it just motivates me to keep doing these kind of streams more and more. And subscribe to the channel if you're new. I equal to 1, we just initialize two variables here initially, and then we are setting the limit here for I, and then we just go inside the loop, first do loop, and then we say j equal to 1, and then go inside another do. We do a C out. What do we want to print? We just want to print a star, right? An asterisk. And then we just increment j here. And we have to also check the condition, which is I less than or equal to j. Actually, it is j less than or equal to I, right? J less than or equal to I. So while that is the case, so j can never be greater than I, right? So in j less than or equal to I, what do we have to do? We have to just see out, just see out, and then just increment I. Yeah, go to the outer loop again, increment I, and then we are going to the outer loop. While again the condition is that I should be less than or equal to n, right? So it can go up till that value, not more, and then just return 0. Now let's just, what happened here? What happened there? Okay, let's just terminate this. Now let's just see if we get the output. Let's compile. Yeah, so we have just printed the right angle triangle of asterisks. Now, if you want like another row, for example, another row of stars, you just have to increase this number and just say 5, just increase n, and yeah, so now you have 5 rows instead of just 4. You will have 5 rows over here. So that is using the while loop, using the do while loop, a right angle triangle. All right, what else do we have here? What is this? there is a note here. There is no rule that a loop must be nested inside its own type. In fact, there can be any type of loop nested inside any type and to any level. All right. Okay. There is another program here. What does it do? What does this program do? Okay. I think it just okay. It just uh increments the last digit, and as you increase the rows, it just increments the second, like it just increments the second last digit, and so on. It just keeps going, right? But how does this become two over here? Okay. Um, what really happens here? How did it become two over here? Let me just check. What does this really do? Here it just incremented the last digits, and then when it went here, it incremented the last digits, and also it just okay. All right. Hmm. It just incremented the last digits one by one, but also it increased the second last digit by one, and that was consistent across all, right? And in the third row, if you check, you have the third, or let's say the first digit, first digit incremented, and that's kept consistent. But what has happened? It went back to the same previous condition as this, right? Like the next two digits became like the first case, like the first row, right? It went back to this. And then in the next row, what happened was again like this. What happened is the same thing, right? The last digit got incremented, right? This is a good one. I think this is something to think about. I think, um, yeah, there is definitely a pattern here. You can see, and if you understand this, let me know in the comments if you're watching after the video, after the live stream. So it's a good one to think and brainstorm. Let me know in the comments if you find the pattern here. All right, let's not really start with that now. I think it's already been quite long. I'm not sure how much time we are live now. Let's see if we can do. Let's note this down as well. I don't know what name to give this program. It's not given a name, so all right, we'll look at this later. All right. So the next thing to what is the next thing that we have to check out? Nesting of for loops, break statement. Okay. All right, the break statement. I think we can do this. All right, let's just do an introduction of the break statement. Let's see. All right. So what does the break statement do? Um, it just breaks out of a loop, right? When a condition is when a condition is met, it just breaks out of the loop, right? So that's the break statement. This is a very basic program. Let's just remove it here, and I don't know if I can run it here because all right, let's not do that. Let's just run it on our console itself. We're just testing this. Let us run it here inside our own IDE. I'm just trying to. All right, let's see what happens. Let's just remove this break statement. So without the break, all right. So without the break, it just prints up till 10, right? Without the break, like, okay. Without the break, it just prints up till 10, right? Because we're not breaking it here, right? If we add a break, because we set it up till 10, right? And we did not break. It just keeps going up till 10. Now let us try it with the break. Yeah. So it just prints up till 5 because we just did a break at I equal to 6. So it just stops at 6. Just doesn't go to 6 and yeah, just stops at 5, right? So that is the break statement. And all right. So this is how it works. Yeah, condition to break and just break. This is the flow chart. All right. And you can also use a break with a nested loop. I think if we, okay, I think it's already been a lot of time today. Maybe we can do that in the next live session. I think it's been quite a while since we are live now. So I think we can end it right now. We can look at this later. All right. So like the video, if you're watching it after the live stream. And if you enjoyed it, also please do share it with your friends who are in their journey of C++, uh, or are willing to learn C++, want to learn C++. So just share it with them, um, and subscribe to the channel. So see you in the next live stream. Until then, yeah, bye. Yeah, bye guys.